Rajeshwari MJ. She pursued her BE in Electrical and Electronics at the People's Education Society College of Engineering, Mandya. She pursued her MTech in VLSI Design and Embedded Systems at the Sri Jagadguru Balagangadharanta Institute of Technology, Bangalore. Her personal skills lie in good verbal and written communication skills. Her areas of interest lie in OOPS with C++, renewable energy sources, HVDC transmission, digital relays, automotive electronics, advances in VLSI design. She has also had papers presented at the national level, such as the Innovative Architecture for SoC Multi-Core Hybrid Processor, presented at the RNSIT, Bangalore.
Welcome to UGC series of BSc Physics Honours. Today we are dealing with the subject electronic devices. In this session we are going to deal with the semiconductor diode topic, that is what that previously we have come across with 2-3 sessions. That now we are going to cover some of the leftover topics that we have not discussed in semiconductor diodes. So, in this session we are going to know about static and dynamic resistance. This is two type of resistance that we can see in diode. So, there are two different types of resistance that can we see in a diode, and also the p-n junction fabrication. So, we know how the characteristics and everything we are covered, and also the mode of operation also we know, and what are the current equations and the mobility and conductivity in a diode also we know. But the fabrication process we need to know, it is a basic knowledge of how the fabrication process for a p-n junction will be, we will discuss in this session in a brief. So, first thing that we are going to discuss is resistance levels. So, there are two different resistance levels that we already said, that is dynamic and static resistance. The very first type, that is DC or static resistance. DC in the sense it is the resistance is due to the direct current. Whenever the direct current is given, the resistance will be occur. So, that resistance is called as a static resistance. Why it is a static resistance? Since due to the direct current the resistance occur, that is why it is called as static resistance. And the static resistance have generally the resistance of the diode at the operating point can be found simply by finding the corresponding levels of VD and ID. So, this is how. So, it does not change wherever the operation point will be, we may take in a characteristics the resistance in a static type of resistance, that is the resistance level in a static resistance remains same. So, the type of resistance is here the static that we consider, wherever the point we may consider in our VI characteristics, that is operation point, that in that point the resistance does not change, it remains same, that is why it is called as static resistance. So, the application of a DC voltage to a circuit containing a semiconductor diode will result in an operating point on the characteristics curve that will not change with time. So, the resistance that does not change with time, that is called as static resistance, and this static resistance is due to the DC voltage that is applied, that is why it is called also as a DC resistance. And also from the picture, that is we can observe the with the picture in the diagram. So, this is the VI characteristics that we can observe, where if we consider an operating point in VI characteristics, the resistance does not change with the time. So, the VD is what the value here we can take it out from the y axis, and from the x axis we can take the VD value, and from the y axis we can take the ID value. So, which is equal to the resistance. The resistance here, the resistance is equal to the V is equal to IR is what the Ohm's law equation. To find the resistance we can rearrange it, that is V by I value will give the resistance, that is the DC or static resistance. And also from here we can observe the lower the current through a diode, the higher the DC resistance will be. So, the RD is given by VD divided by ID. So, lower the current through the diode, the higher the DC resistance level, because RD is inversely proportional to ID. So, the current value will be lower in the sense the resistance or static resistance will be higher. So, next we move on to AC or dynamic resistance. So, the name itself says that we are giving a varying input. So, that here the AC input is given. This will move the instantaneous operating point up and down a region of the characteristics, and thus the resistance changes as you move along the VI curve. So, it is called as dynamic or AC resistance. So, the voltage that we are given here is AC. So, due to this variation in input voltage, we can find the operating point in a VI characteristics also varying instantaneously. So, due to this the resistance will not be same at a time. So, it may be vary. So, that is why it is called as dynamic resistance. So, in which can be also find with the help of diode characteristics, we can observe the dynamic resistance with the Q point is an operation point. So, we are considering here as a DC operation point for a reference. So, where this point is actually that we consider there will be no change in a resistance. So, there will be in this blue color line that what we indicates the Q point above this till here we consider having a minute or very less or finite change in a current or voltage. This will leads to a very less change in a resistor value. So, this is a Q point that we have taken in a Q point or operating point in a VI characteristics, and whenever with the tangent that we are drawn here to this Q point, which will going to produce a slope. The slope that will going to give the dynamic resistance value. So, this is the Vd of this and this is the Id value. So, again V by I again will give some dynamic resistance. So, here also we can come to the conclusion that the lower the Q point of operation, the higher the AC resistance. So, the Q point operation if it is lower, the higher the AC resistance will be higher. So, here that what we can observe how we are going to draw a slope tangent to this Q point and find the Vd and Id value. So, that Vd and Id value will going to help us to find the RD, that is dynamic resistance. Next we move on to the another important topic that is fabrication of silicon PN junction. So, in the PN junction is fabricated in a different process. So, first thing that we are consider here is chemical cleaning of silicon wafer. So, wafer is a silicon material, it is having a silicon material that is called as a wafer, and first thing we do for the wafer is chemically cleaning. With the help of HF solution, we can clean the wafer, which is usually using the HF solution only. We will clean the wafers for any unwanted or impurities or dust or oxygen layer is present on the wafer can be cleaned with the HF solution. And next we move on to the oxidation. So, the oxidation is a steps where we are going to expose a wafer into the oxygen. So, the oxygen layer will be created on the wafer. So, next is the photolithography. So, this is one of the important step. Lithography is in the sense is carrying the image, that is what we drawn on a paper into that what we are made a design that has to be carried out from the image into a ink level, that is why it is called as lithography, that whatever the idea of a circuit will be there, that will be carried into the paper with the help of ink, that is lithography. But in photolithography the image is transformed, on certain material using a graphical approach. Using a graphical approach we are going to transfer the image, that is what is called as photolithography. And this photolithography is helpful throughout this fabrication process, because wherever the design the circuits descriptions is needed, we have to redo this photolithography as many times as possible. And next the fourth step is silicon oxide etching. So, if it is in silicon oxide etching is a process where we are going to remove the unwanted material. So, silicon dioxide that is what that we are taken as a step, silicon oxide is what etched which is unwanted. And next is a diffusion. In the diffusion step, the diffusion means in the sense we are going to add the impurities for the silicon. Like if you want to make a p-type semiconductor, the impurities that we need to add for a p-type is trivalent. impurities. So, the trivalent impurities like boron will be added for p-type semiconductor. So, this is how the diffusion will be. Next the sixth step will be thin film metal, that is thin film metal in the sense metal that we consider here is aluminum, that is thin film metal deposition. This is a step that where we are going to form the interconnections. So, the interconnection is usually with the help of metals only between the elements. So, the interconnections inside the circuit will be with the help of metal using aluminum. Next, again the photolithography step is repeated here. Again, if any structures or anything has to be carried out for the on the wafer or the silicon material is again carried out with the help of photolithography. Next is metal etching. Again etching is a process where we are going to remove the unwanted material. Here metal etching in the sense metal has to be etched out. The ninth step is semiconductor, that is metal contact formation. So, in the metal contact formation, that is whatever the metal that is already formed, that has to be contacted with the semiconductor materials that is formed. This will complete the ninth step, completes the entire p-n junction fabrication. So, we are going to study the process flow in a step by step now. So, for fabrication of p-n junction, first we think is we need a silicon wafer. This is what the silicon wafer which is chemically cleaned silicon wafer. Now, we are going to give a silicon oxide interference is there, the silicon wafer with a grown silicon dioxide layer on top. When this is exposed with oxygen, silicon dioxide layer is formed on the pure silicon, that is N silicon that we are consider. So, this is what the silicon dioxide layer that is grown on the pure silicon. Next, we move on to the positive photoresist layer. So, there is a positive photoresist layer that is going to make that this photoresist layer which will be helpful for a photolithography. So, whenever that we need to carry an image through graphical method, the photoresist material has to be created on top of the semiconductor. So, the positive photoresist layer will going to create on top of the silicon dioxide with a spin coat of positive photoresist is what that is made on top of silicon dioxide. After this step, the ultraviolet rays will be moved. The it has to be exposed to the ultraviolet rays where the glass plate emulsion, that this glass plate emulsion will be exposed here, and whenever it is the glass plate is unmasked, whenever the glass plate emulsion is unmasked, at that particular only the UV exposed region will be present. This is a place where the UV exposed region, that is polymerized photoresist, this is where that we can observe the photo, that is the unmasked glass plate will be there. Due to the unmask of this, ultraviolet rays will enter through this glass plate, so that this layer is called as UV exposed region. So, the photoresist polymerization on UV exposure will be formed. Next, we have to find the windows in photoresist after development. So, once the photoresistance has developed, so we come to know that where the window has to be created. So, with the help of ultraviolet rays, there is a marking is produced in a unmasked glass plate. The marking will be produced due to the photoresist material. So, the window that exactly placed on top of the silicon dioxide will be marked like the white. This shows the window in a photoresist after it is developed. So, next the PR coating on back of the wafer to protect the oxide. Again the PR in the sense wherever we write PR, it is a photoresist coating. So, again the PR coating will be again backed on the wafer to protect the oxide. So, the oxide layer that is present in the silicon dioxide layer, it has to be protected in the window region. So, again PR has to be coated on back of this window area. Next, silicon oxide etching in BHF, that is silicon oxide is etched in this area, that is the window area where we already made a PR resistant for oxide layer. Again this silicon dioxide area is etched in this for the possibility of the well, that is we need a well here, that is why the silicon dioxide layer is also etched. After photoresist and wax removal, we will find this. So, once the photoresist which is appears in a red color on top, after the photoresistance is removed and also below that there will be wax will be there. After remove the photoresistor resistive layer on top and the wax layer in the bottom, this is how it looks with N silicon material, that is N type material, silicon dioxide layer. This is 2 window. Next is pre-deposition. Now we are going to form a boron atoms that will going to be fall on this wafer, that what we are carried out till now. The impurity deposition like boron or phosphorus, which is trivalent, it is going to be exposed on this silicon dioxide layer, and when the borosilicate glass and boron atoms is placed here, this is how it looks. It is exposed here and it will going to be only placed here in the well, and this placed is all masked due to the glass plate that we are used. So, glass plate will going to mask here, and only in the well it is unmasked, so that the boron atoms enter easily and deposit here. So, this is how the boron atoms that can be formed after etching. The glass etchant that what we are used, that is etched. After that, the boron atom will present like this throughout the silicon dioxide layer. Next is the drive in. Is a pre-deposited wafer heated at high temperature, so impurity move into silicon. So, when the pre-deposit wafer is already created, that will has to be heated at high temperature. So, whenever heating is possible, so we can get the p type, the desired material can be get with the help of heating. So, the boron atoms is present here. This can be form the p type material, since it is a trivalent. This is exposed to the silicon. So, this is going to form a p type material when it is given a high temperature. So, after this is a front coating photoresist layer. Again the front coating photoresistor has to be made to avoid any further damage for this layer, and also to carry the further design structure above this. The photoresistive coating is again formed. After this, back oxide etching for BHF is made, that is back oxide etching is again made for this. So, after this back etching, we will find that the silicon dioxide layer with the photoresistor removal will be found here, which is having a, which has to be depleted. The photoresistor removal will completely depleted, and it is going to be exposed like this after the photoresistivity. So, this can be again diluted to HF to remove oxide if any on the front side, and it has to be cleaned. So, it has to be clean, and everything has to be now the form of N and P type of material will be formed at this step, where we are going to find the N and P type and also silicon dioxide with the photoresistive layer has to be etched from here. Next is the metal contact formation. So, the second time photolithography is also formed. When the second time photolithography is formed, in the sense that time we are going to get the this metal interconnection that has to be made for a silicon, that is the PN junction diode. So, very first thing is N type is formed, after that P type is formed due to the diffusion of impurities. After that again photolithography is used due to get the photoresist layer, where we get the design structure on top of it, further metal interconnection. So, the metal contact formation is now using the metal, that is aluminum. So, the aluminum thin film is deposited here, where we get the PR resistor layer, and again on top of this metal layer again the photoresist aluminum is again created. So, this photoresist layer is what which will going to give us a clear picture of removing the unwanted or metal etching will be possible with this photoresist layer. Next again etching has to be taken, means again it has to be exposed to the UV rays. So, UV rays again, when if we have to expose to the UV rays, means there is a glass plate that is required, and also photoresist is layer is already there, and the aluminum contact is already made for above the P type material. So, this is how we are going to expose the UV rays. So, photolithography for metal contacts. So, for metal contacts now we are getting the photolithography is made with the help of UV rays. So, after the development to now we are moving to the development to remove the UV exposed photoresist. So, in the glass plate there is masked and unmasked region will be there. Wherever the masked region will be there, that shouldn't allow the UV rays to pass through. Wherever the unmasked regions are there, that allows the UV rays to pass through. These are the masked glass plate where the UV rays will not enter into here, because we need a metal contact here. That is why we have taken a glass plate with the unmasked, and here these regions where the glass plate is unmasked. So, we need to the UV rays directly enter through the glass plate, and this will going to be etched. So, after aluminum etching, we will get the N-type silicon material at the bottom and P wells with 2 P wells, and also silicon dioxide in between that with the metal contact. Again, at the bottom of N-type silicon material, we are going to place a thin metal film at the bottom for contacts, and the back metal contact formation is also formed, that is one diode chip after separation of diode. So, this is forms a 2 diode here. So, after the back metal contact formation, we will separate this and we can make as a single diode chip. So, this is different steps, that is process that is involved for a PN junction formation. In the PN junction formation, that is we already discussed, very first thing that we are going to do is N-type formation. In N-type formation, that is base of a wafer where we get a pure semiconductor. On top of it, we are going to build a 2 well. In the 2 well, where we are going to form the P-type material using a diffusion process. In the diffusion process, we are going to use a impurity, that is a boron impurity, which is having a trivalent atom. Due to this trivalent atom, that we are going to get in a wells that we form on a N silicon type, P-type semiconductor will be formed. So, on top of it, again we are going to make a metal contact using again the photolithography. So, photolithography will be a process where the design has to be carried out graphically. So, design will be carried out. So, the metal interconnects wherever it is necessary, that will be carried out on the structure. So, unwanted metal will be removed through the etching by exposing it to UV rays. We can remove the unwanted metal by the again the photolithography is applied here, and finally unwanted metal terminals is etched out, and diode 1 or 2 diodes will be formed in this process, which can be separated to get a single diode. So, this is where we have found the chips, that is the wafer that we discussed here. The very first step that where we found is a silicon wafer. This is how it looks. We are speaking about only one like this. This is what where we have found is a one place that we are started forming a PN junction fabrication. This is called a chip or a single diode that were formed. This can be easily formed with the help of the different steps, and this is a repeated step followed for 1, 2, 3 like for different chips, individual chips of a wafer. So, this individual chips forms individual diodes. So, this is each chips will be having that what we discussed, the steps that will be carried out for each steps or for producing a single diode. So, if we consider this single chip also, that we are carried out a P type, and top of the silicon dioxide layer is formed, on top of it N type, and also the metal contact formation will be formed. And finally, what we are going to form, finally at the single wafer we get a different diode. So, the different diode has to be separated. So, different diode has to be separated, there should be a marking we need to do. So, for the separation, so each chip will represent a single diode. So, diode chips are separated by scribbing using a diamond. So, diamond is used to cut this diodes. So, we can get the single diodes, and diamond point and packaged will be in suitable packages shown in here. So, after separating this, it has to be packed suitably. So, the form that we found really in the labs and all, it looks like this. So, inside this there is a silicon material. This has to be packed because the silicon should not damage. The packing will be usually epoxy resins, the box, and inside this there is a lead frame that is coming out of the box. This is a metal contact, and the diode chip wire that is present here inside, and this is a bonding wire that is present here. So, this forms how the diode looks usually in a laboratory, and also the process behind the fabrication of the simple diode and also what are different characteristics that we studied previous session, everything is linked up together. So finally we come to the end of this session. In this session we discussed about dynamic and static resistance. So dynamic resistance, where the resistance value will vary with the time, and also it is also called as AC resistance because the applied voltage here is AC. So due to the invariable or input voltage, the resistance also change at a time. And also the another type of resistance that we found in diode is static resistance. They are also called as DC resistance. This type of resistance does not change, it remains same at a time. And also we discussed about different fabrication steps that is involved in PN junction, that is chemical cleaning of silicon wafer, first step, and after that oxidation and a photolithography, and also silicon oxide etching, the diffusion where the impurity atom is diffused into the silicon material, and thin film metal deposition and photolithography, and finally metal etching, and finally the semiconductor metal contact formation. Some of the questions of this session are: differentiate between static and dynamic resistance. What is dynamic resistance? Explain the PN junction fabrication steps. References are www.allaboutscircuits.com, www.electronicstutorial.com, and the textbook references are Electronic Devices and Circuit Theory by Robert Boylestad, Louis Nashelski, and Electronic Circuits and Devices by Alan Motorshed. This ends the session. Thank you.